believe you could harm someone if it meant defending what's right? Are you even capable of hurting someone? If your answer is no, you might have a serious problem. It truly disgusts me how many people just think in black and white when it comes to violence. They're unable to see the nuances, and thereby doing harm on a scale they can't even imagine. I don't care how many will be offended by this. These words must be spoken. In this video, I will change your mindset forever. I will show you how the capability of violence has been rooted in us since ancient times, why violence is necessary for a functional society, and present 2 rules you can follow to use and integrate violence in a righteous and virtuous way. From a young age, modern society strips away violence from us, telling us it is the absolute evil and can never be a solution to anything. That's hypocrisy. Violence is necessary every fucking day. Just to give you a quick example, how do you suggest law enforcement should stop a criminal? When talking is done, the answer is and must be violence. Denying this truth leaves you weak and vulnerable. Don't get me wrong. There is a senseless violence that no one wants or needs in our society. But our fear of that kind is so immense that even the smallest seed of violence is suffocated, resulting in raising harmless and helpless victims. Let me share a personal story. For a long time in my youth and childhood, I thought something was wrong with me because violence always fascinated and attracted me. Not the senseless kind, but that raw, animalistic, instinctive kind. It wasn't that I wanted to hurt anyone in particular, but there was an ever-present hunger for aggression, confrontation, and danger. Years of oppression, because everyone told me this is a bad trait of character, led to self-hatred, self-harm, and ever-growing frustration. This is what the psychiatrist Carl Jung meant when he said, "Denying your shadow only makes it stronger." It took me many years of pain and blood to realize there was absolutely nothing wrong with me. What I felt was an instinct deep within me, within all of us. This is not madness. This is nature's way of preparing you for survival. Embrace your instinct, understand it, and then harness it. Violence is rooted in our DNA. Since ancient times, humanity has been not just gatherers, but also hunters. And what do you need as a hunter? That's right, the ability and the mindset to kill. And it goes even further. You need to feel some kind of satisfaction in doing so, not out of sheer joy, but out of the necessity to survive. This satisfaction is what we call the thrill of the hunt. What if it is the other way around? You're not the hunter, but the prey. Imagine facing a predator. Your heartbeat races, adrenaline surges through your veins. What are you going to do when your life, or even worse, the life of your loved ones is threatened? Are you going to watch like a coward? I hope not. You will ensure their safety, even if it means fighting till your last breath. Look deep within. The drive to survive, to hunt, to protect. It's an ancient primal force. We evolved with it, and it shapes us even today. Ignoring it is like ignoring a fundamental part of who we are. Think about this for a moment. What is the final stage of every conflict? Conflict is a necessary and unavoidable part of every social group. This ranges from small groups such as families and friends to the population of entire states. Whether it is a private dispute between a few people, a government enforcing laws against criminals, or when diplomacy fails on the world stage. The final stage of escalation in any conflict is always physical violence. When words fail and reason falters, violence becomes the last argument. It's the ultimate resolution, the undeniable force that settles disputes when all else breaks down. So, why is violence necessary? It's not the violence itself, but the ability and readiness to use it to defend what is good and righteous. Imagine someone insults or harasses your children. What if the perpetrator just won't stop despite multiple warnings? What will you do? Just watch? That would be absolutely pathetic. You see, in those critical moments, your response defines you. To cower is to lose your dignity and to pave the way for evil. To stand firm and fight back, that is the essence of true strength. It's not about seeking violence, but about being ready when it's unavoidable. Think about it. The police, the military, they must be trained to use violence as a last resort, but they are ready and willing to use it if necessary. It's their preparedness that keeps society in check. Without the threat of force, laws and morality mean nothing. Anyone who thinks a world free of violence is possible is naive and blind. As I showed, violence is in our DNA. It's part of the human condition. We can't escape it, but we can learn to control it. Understand this. Evil will always exist, and it thrives on the inaction of the good. Rule 1. Never be the first to use or threaten violence. Violence must always be the last resort. Words can be a powerful weapon, but in the end, it is not up to you whether they're heard or not. If someone chooses to ignore you, they become useless. Look at it this way. Everyone has a choice. No one is forced to break the law, to harass someone else, to threaten you or your loved ones. No matter the reasons, they always chose to do so. And when the other person chooses violence in whatever form, they leave you with no choice but to stop them. Set your own boundary for when you are ready to use violence, and when it is crossed, damn it, become a monster. Think of it like a switch. You don't want to flip it, but if someone forces your hand, you must be ready. It's not about being aggressive, it's about being prepared. Your boundary should be clear, not just to you, but to everyone around you. Rule 2. Understand the value of life. Violence can, whether intended or not, end a life, and with it, all of its potential. The value of life is immeasurable. Each life has dreams, hopes, and the capacity for change. Your use of violence must always consider this. It's not about revenge or punishment. It's about protection and preservation of the greater good. No one needs to die or get seriously injured for stealing a bit of money or making some stupid remarks. But letting it slide? Never. Your response must be measured by the necessity for protection, not driven by anger. It's a fine line, but this is what separates justice from mindless brutality and senseless violence. You see, violence isn't the problem. The lack of understanding and readiness to use it correctly is. Violence is a tool, and like any tool, it can be used for both creation and destruction. It's not the tool itself, but how you wield it that defines its impact. Be the one who uses it to build a safer, more just world. In the end, it's not about glorifying violence. It's about respecting its power and knowing when to harness it. It's about being a guardian, not an aggressor. So, train yourself, mentally and physically, to be ready. Stop fooling yourself with false ideals. The world isn't a perfect place, and sometimes, to protect the light, you must be willing to step into the dark.